Welcome back to Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag and Oakbridge Wealth Management. I'm Matt Perkins, joined, as always, by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Bernie, how are we doing today?
Every day's a holiday. We're getting to the holidays. Sadly, we're in the vacation bowl, as we used to joke in 2001, that we all go on vacation and don't plan a bowl game, which is sad. I don't want to bring up sad things, but I feel like this is a sad podcast today.
I don't know. I'm actually not sure that it's a sad podcast today, Bernie. We'll get into that here in just a minute. Before we do, want to remind everyone tuning in that we continue to be presented by BetOnline.ag, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA and college basketball, NHL and UFC, head on over to BetOnline today, and don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. Head on over to BetOnline and use the promo code BetOnline. The game starts here. And of course, we continue to be proudly presented by our main man, Chris Anasei, and his team over at Oakbridge Wealth Management. If you are a pro, future pro, or current NCAA athlete with NIL deals, Chris Anasei is the man that you need to connect with to get your money right. Over at Oakbridge, Chris and his team of professionals will create a comprehensive financial plan to set you up to navigate your lifestyle and future market conditions. Oakbridge specializes in wealth management for professional athletes. They understand all of the pressures that they face every single day. Chris and his team will set you up with a bespoke plan to make your money work for you off the field, so you can focus on what you do best, perform on the field. Get in touch with Chris on Instagram at OakbridgeWM_Anicete. That's OakbridgeWM_ANICETE, or head on over to their website, OakbridgeWealthMGMT.com. That's Chris Anicete and Oakbridge Wealth Management. Just friends, please continue to get your money right. That's all we ask of you as
in
listeners.
This world. Just
get your money right. Give us some 5-star reviews down on however you're listening, wherever you're watching. We really appreciate that. That will continue to help us grow as we continue to hope to see the Badgers grow this year. They have started that, I don't want to call it a rebuild, but a retooling by hiring Jeff Grimes to be the offensive coordinator. He comes over from Kansas, was previously at Baylor, and he's bringing a power spread burn that I think is going to be a little bit more in line with what Coach Fick presumably wants the offense to look like.
I also think it's a little more in line with the culture of Wisconsin for a very long time. I feel like it's a slight evolution of the eye. It's not a slight evolution. It's definitely an evolution, but I think it's a good hire. I think it's a good hire. Listen, we got to get away from, I think we had an experiment that was a failed experiment. If everyone watching, I mean, obviously you know this. We did not get better. We got sadly worse this year. So I think we need to get back to our roots and evolve a little bit, but get back to the roots of like a power game, a run game, focus on that, focus on O-line, running backs, just like what we've been doing forever. Now bring in some pass to get, some of these other guys, these skilled guys a little bit, get them the football and open up some spaces, and then get back to basics on defense. Right? Physical basics on defense. That's what Mike Eccles, that's what he was saying. That's what all these guys I've talked to all the time are saying. That's how we used to win.
I think that this hire is interesting for a couple of reasons. First off, they're going to run the ball more, and I think they're going to see heavier sets. I think that one of the reasons that we see a guy like Tretch Kekahuna go to the portal is who knows how much we'll be using slot receivers anymore. I'm sure they will still be used, but, it was the focus of the Phil Longo offense was the slot receiver. And I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case again going forward. Secondly, Jeff Grimes has an offensive line background. And Badgers already have 2 offensive line coaches in Blazek and Rabak. And so they are going to be hiring a quarterbacks coach. And I think what's interesting about this is that we saw Longo be both the quarterbacks coach and the OC. And for as long as I can remember, Wisconsin's offensive coordinator has also always been some sort of position coach, whether it was Coach Brian White for you, whether it was Paul Christ when he was the offensive coordinator calling plays. They always were working with a position group, typically quarterbacks, but running backs in your case as well. And to have him as a just offensive coordinator and a separate quarterbacks coach, I think that actually could be a really good thing. I think that having him just have to worry about the overall game plan, yes, all the talent underneath him, but not spending 24/7s with one position group, could be really, really interesting if they nail the quarterback coach hire, right? That's going to be super important because the quarterback coach hire is going to have to develop Mabry and Carter and Braden Locke, who's still going to be there, and more than likely bring in a quarterback from the portal, a veteran, to compete right away. I'm curious to see how that all plays out because I don't think they're going to get a quarterback before they have the quarterback's coach, Bernie. And so for me, that's sort of the next domino to fall.
I completely agree with you. Listen, you can never have more O-line coaches. Like that's, I think, good. And I think those three guys, you know, you got Casey, you got, I'm blanking on his name now. Blazik, who I love. Those guys are good for the program.
Yes.
You know, Casey's been there. He knows, he's played. I like it. I think it's actually great that he can focus on game plan, high level. Stop getting in, you know, we don't need to get into the weeds. High level, you have position coaches who can, he's going to coach with different groups.
Yeah, like he'll move around. It's not like he's just sitting
he's not going to sit on the box.
Thumbs at practice until it's 7-on-7, right? Like,
I think it brings a, you know, as you look at a company structure, it brings some leadership to a unit, right? So he's like the general of the offense. I like that. I think that stuff is good. Now, Coach White did it. It's not saying that it didn't work. It worked. You know, Coach White won championships, Rose Bowls. So it can work, but it's nice that it doesn't have to. I think nailing a quarterback coach could not be more important. We are never not going to throw the football. We threw it back in the day. Coach Horton was a great quarterback coach. It's going to happen. We are going to do that. Imagine a great quarterback coach. Imagine guys who can mold our young players to be maybe not a Russell Wilson, but mold them to get them close to hit their genetic ceiling, like Coach White said. Listen, new coaches are good. Look at Geno Smith. Obviously the Jets, they kill dudes, and then Sam Darnold's having the best year of his life. Geno Smith's been great for the past 2 years. So it's all coaching. It's not like these guys stunk when they were on the Jets, and now somehow they're good. They were great. They've been great. They just were off. And what could be environment, could be a lot of things. I think that for the Jets, it's environment and coaching and just absolute mayhem in the locker room, Michael. Not the locker room, but absolute mayhem when it comes to all the other things. So I think, long story short, you bring this guy in, you bring a great quarterback coach in, you never know what could happen in that room. I am not a fan of bringing a portal guy in this year. I think it's a failed experiment. 2 years. Well, Tyler Van Dyke, I'm very sad that he would leave. I don't get it. We can talk about that in a second, but you're going to get another guy and it's going to be the same thing. And you're going to have dudes leave and you're going to have dudes. So I think what's important, Matt Perkins, as I continue to speak, is you're going to hire a quarterbacks coach. He's going to come in and assess the room. And he should say, I can win with this guy, or I need to go outside and get somebody else. I'm just not becoming a fan of the portal for a quarterback because it has become a spinning wheel for us. Guys are in, guys are leaving. It just makes me nervous that we're getting into this. We say one thing and then we don't do it. And it pisses people off. And especially in the locker room, you can see dudes are leaving.
17 guys have entered the portal so far. You mentioned Tyler Van Dyke. Obviously, Cole LaCrue is the first guy to enter the portal, another quarterback. He was kind of buried on the depth chart. That one wasn't a huge surprise. But there have also been 15 other guys, entering the portal. And I think that for me, the most impactful of these, obviously Van Dyke quarterback is a different class and a different category. We can talk about that a little bit later. Mm-hmm. But James Thompson probably for me hurts the most, even though he didn't play this year really because of the injury that he suffered right before the season began. he's someone that like was really a really needed piece along the defensive line. But also he's a 6th-year guy. I get it. He's already gotten offers from Auburn and Illinois and a bunch of other places. And much like Rodas Johnson, much like Gio Paez, 2 other defensive linemen from Wisconsin who hit the portal last year and ended up at the SEC schools for, more money than Wisconsin's going to be able to offer them. I don't entirely blame him, especially, if you can go get that paycheck right now. NFL's not guaranteed. And, he's been at Wisconsin for 5 years. He's graduated. I'm not going to really give him, too much crap about it because I completely get it. And I do think on the field, though, having him back next year would have been huge for this defensive line that, is kind of lacking at the moment, Byrne. But, for you, what stood out to you about all the portal entries?
I mean, to me, you're always going to lose dudes in this day and age.
Absolutely.
Right. 17 guys. I think we're working on maybe 4 or 5 big names, but those 4 or 5 kind of hurt. To me, Van Dyke, that one hurts. Kekahuna hurts. Thompson hurts, and Neal hurts. I mean, we lost our D line. I have thoughts. I think it's bizarre that listen, nobody wants to be a folklore hero anymore. I mean, nobody, Thompson could be 6 years playing. And I get it, dude. There's money to be made, and you should make it now because there's no guarantee you're in the NFL. There's no guarantee you're not working at, I don't know, anywhere else next year. I mean, I don't know. You could be working, I don't think any job's a bad job, so I don't want to say it, but I don't know, you could be digging ditches and I don't know. You could
be sitting at an entry-level position in some random corporation, sitting in a cubicle.
You could, or you could be out there, busting your hump every day out in construction. I honestly think all these jobs are fine. I have no problem with any of them. It's just that you never know what's going to happen. And if he can get 100, 200, 300, I don't know what that deal looks like. But imagine getting $100,000. That's a salary for a year, 5 years into your professional career. So it's hard to judge. It's just, it sucks to see, right? That guy was so important to, as a fan, listen, we had Thompson for 5 years. That's a pretty good amount of time compared to, I guess the average is probably way less, but it sucks to see people leave in their last year to go play. I'm sure he's going to go to the SEC, play great, and he'll go to the NFL. I'm happy for him. It's great. Tretch leaving, I totally get it. We're not going to be, I can't see us not having a slot receiver, but to not play a ton of football is not what a football player wants to do. I'm ready for this Van Dyke conversation because I'm just so befuddled by it.
Go on.
You preach, Matt Perkins, preach. Okay. So he leaves Miami. Cam Ward's in right behind him. He knows. I mean,
he knew that they were going for Ward in the portal.
You're not going to compete. I mean, that dude is outstanding. He's the best rated quarterback in college football. It's impossible to compete. So, and you probably maybe outstayed your welcome in Miami. So you come to Madison. You play okay. You play okay. You didn't revolutionize anything. It's not like you had 3 games and you were, outstanding. And I'm not trash talking because I think if he doesn't get hurt, he is outstanding. That's where I'm going with it. So I'm spinning it positive. He gets hurt. And now the thought is to leave. Why? There is a quarterback's room with dudes in that room everywhere. Everywhere you're going to go. Do you not? Is the move's going to be lateral at best? And I think it could be a step back. Why would you? Okay, so that's a bullet point. And also in Madison, you know what you're going to get. You might not know the coach, but you know where you are on the depth chart today. You know who you're competing against. And you know a lot of the guys in the locker room already. You could be that dude. You could be the captain of the team. You could take the helm. You come in with a new quarterback coach, could blow your socks off, and now you're unstoppable. To start over again in all these different facets, it's just so confusing to me. Matt Perkins, let me hear you preach now.
I can see both sides of it, Bernie. I'm not as adamant as you, Byrne, that this was necessarily the wrong decision. I think that they may have said that they looked into what Jeff Grimes is going to do as an offensive coordinator and what he asks of his quarterbacks and that might not be what Tyler is good at. That might not be the right fit for his aspirations as a professional quarterback. And he wants to go somewhere, even if it is at a lower level, let's say a group of 5 school, let's say, a low level Big 12 program, something like that, where he will get the opportunities to sit back in the pocket and throw more. And I don't necessarily begrudge him for that. I don't think it's necessarily about money as much as it is play style and play time for Van Dyke's next step. I'm with you. I do think he should have stayed because he would have entered still as QB1. Now, the problem is that he wouldn't be able to partake in spring practice because of coming off of his injury. And so maybe it is something along the lines of it is going to be doubly hard for him to learn a completely new system where he can't even play. He just kind of has to sit there and watch. I get it, but you're not going to be able to play anywhere you go in the spring. So unless it's you're reuniting with someone that you have worked with before and understand their system and what they're going to do, I don't entirely know. But it's they know that they can get more money elsewhere, and you take it while you can get it. I am not an advisor to the Van Dyke family by any stretch of the imaginations. I probably wouldn't make a very good one either because I'm way too biased.
I'm also personally a fan. Like I like them.
I do too.
Here's the thing, Matt Perkins, no matter where you go, you're learning a new offense. There is unless you're with Phil Longo, wherever he goes, you are doing, it could be the same offense. It could probably be different language, different. Everyone does something a little bit different. It's not the same. Like when we were still running power right, power left, they called it different things, right? Like Panther and whatever the other word was. I have no idea what that is. So like you're still learning things. So I don't think wherever he goes, he's going to pick, you got to pick up an offense wherever you go. Look, our whole team's going to pick up an offense. Now he goes somewhere else, you're picking up an offense. I don't care where it is, you're picking it up. Everyone uses different terminology. Could be the same play, different terminology. Could the money be a thing? Sure. Money's now important. I get it. It's important to me. It's so like if someone called him and said, you get $200,000 to come here, I think you should do it. Totally. But if it's not for money, and now again, we don't sit, I'm not a fly on the wall when they talk to the coaches. I'm not in the, his mind saying, oh, I'm not a fit for this offense. Right? Like, you're right. He might not be a fit for this offense. Now, I still find that he's going to have to figure that out. And I think he could have done it here. And even if he's not a perfect fit, doesn't mean he doesn't play and have a great season and then go and do what people who don't play in great fits do. They play in the NFL, right? Like he has all this experience under his belt. Imagine playing in a different, he's got now just another, tool in his kit. But hey, listen, these guys make their own decisions. They're young. We know his dad's involved, so that's a good thing. But I'm more hurt by that choice than the rest of the guys. Listen, I'll tell you first, I'm not a fan of the 3-3. I don't think that's news here. Guys leaving because they're not a fit. I understand that. That's a hard defense, and if you're not playing well or being productive, it's not switching. Like that makes sense to me. But Tyler Van Dyke leaving it hurts because I wanted the experience. I think having another year would have been great for the young guys to come up, to keep learning, to even have a competition. It's still important. Listen, all these guys, you look at like Brooks Bollinger, you look at Sorgi. Sorgi stood behind Brooks the entire time. And then when he got in, had a great season and was ready to play the moment he got it. And then played what Brooks might have done 7 or 8 years and Sorgi did 10 years behind Peyton Manning. Like you don't need, nobody wants to get developed anymore. I get it. But that stinks, I think, for the game of football.
I mean, that's exactly what we talked about with Sojourn last week. No one wants to stay and develop and wait. Guys expect to see the field immediately. And guess what? There's only 11 guys out there at once. And there are, 85 guys on the roster, 105 guys if you add all the walk-ons.
Listen, when I came in, I think there was like 4 guys in our whole class who were good enough to play. Scott Starks, Brett Bell, they were phenomenal, those guys. And then you had Antaj. Oh, I just had a couple. I just had people in my brain, and I just lost them all. But those guys, those, there's a couple more, and I can't believe I'm forgetting them. But I'm sorry, guys, for doing that to you. But these guys were not ready to play, maybe like mentally with everything in a football game, but physically they were ready. And then they got developed. Antaj day one to Antaj in his last year was a huge leap, like ginormous. The dude never lifted a weight in his life. Now he was a monster his senior year, unstoppable.
Do you know who you're missing?
I'm so mad.
Jimmy Leonard.
You got Jimmy. There was other people, but Jimmy Leonard. Oh man.
That played as Mike Allen, the kicker.
Mike Allen, sure.
True freshman. Darren Charles was playing.
Bob Doherty. That's where I was. Offensive guys, I was forgetting. Doherty played. Now Doherty's a whole different beast because he literally, physically, a whole different beast. He had some off the field things that happened, but he was getting. I mean, all these dudes they just got so much better as their career went on, and none of them took a step and said, "I'm going to go somewhere else. But this isn't the right fit for me." So. And also, dude, let's be real. You and I are the most biased human beings when it comes to Wisconsin. I'm obsessed with the place. I don't know how anyone would want to play anywhere else. Besides money, there's no other reason I would leave. Oh, you know who else hurts a lot? Riley Novakowski. That hurts me a lot.
Well, it hurts you a lot. I understand. He's your guy.
I know he's a fullback that got asked to play positions he's not, and he was producing really well. I mean,
he was starting. He was starting at tight end. He was asked to do a lot. And weirdly enough, like with Grimes, it wouldn't surprise me to see them bring a little bit of fullback back. And kind of would have loved to see him, do a little bit of that, just, taking a cursory glance. If you want to get deep, we'll shout out our guy, Ryan Anderson, and the Dairy Raid for going over the full going over the full scheme. So I would recommend going over and checking that out. But in sort of larger terms, I'm curious also to see who they are targeting in the portal, because I was talking with John McNamara earlier this morning over on Badger Blitz TV, and one of the things that he mentioned, and that's pretty obvious, is that I think they've put out like 9 or 10 offers at this point in the portal, and half of them are edge defenders, outside linebacker edge types, and they are all much bigger. There are a lot of these guys that are 6'5", 260, 270 instead of some smaller edge guys. And what that tells me, though, Bernie, is that I think they're gonna try to stick to this 3-3-5, 2-4-5 kind of thing, and try to use edge defenders as de facto defensive ends on rundowns. And if your guys are good enough to do that, great, but they haven't been that good the first 2 years. So I'm curious to see sort of how a lot of this turnover takes place on the defensive side of the ball, because yes, they lose Tretch, but we know who's coming back at receiver. We know who's coming back at running back. We know who is coming back at offensive line. And, effectively, but Renfro and Malman both coming back for one final season. That's 2 guys that they could have lost that they're not losing on the offensive line. So they'll have 3 starters back there, and Brunner and those 2. But on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be a lot of new faces between all the defensive backs leaving in the portal, guys graduating, and you're losing Hunter for just starters. What are you losing? Hunter Wohler, Nazir Forkerine. You're losing Kurt Neal to the portal, James Thompson, who didn't start this year, but effectively a starter. Jake Chaney and Jaheim Thomas both graduating. It's going to be a lot of new faces. And if you look at like a preliminary 2 deep, man, half of it's like redshirt freshmen in there. Like, it's a lot. It's like freshmen and like all over the place. And part of me kind of likes that. let the kids play, man. Just at this point, you almost kind of have to let the kids play if you really want to develop them by getting them on-field reps.
I think you have to. Listen, I don't even know where to go. If you're not in the portal getting edge defenders or getting defensive linemen, you have lost your mind. And I will say this. Listen, it might not be the truth, but I think the defense is high on the list to get revamped. If it's not, listen, Matt Perkins has had bananas to say. They were terrible last year.
No, they've already they've addressed their offense now. Now they got to work on the defense. They've got a new coordinator.
I think the guys were skilled enough to play a solid defense. I think the scheme is off. So I think that if you're who's on the hot seat next year? It's not offense. It's defense.
Yeah.
And if you're going to let Iowa run for 300 plus yards, we'll always go back to that. And guys just do whatever they want to you. We can't. I mean, you're getting 6'6", 260-pound DNs. It's about time. I think it's about time. I think you got to, man. It can't be a 2-4-5 like we saw. I mean, that was, man. Even Western Michigan. Who do we play at the beginning? Western Kentucky. Western Michigan ran over us.
South Dakota ran on them.
So exactly. So before I lose my mind, you got to change things up on defense.
Bernie, it's too late for that. You lost your mind long time ago.
I know. Sadly, it's gone. It's gone. But you got to change. You got to do something on defense. I mean, that's it. And we have a lot of DBs who have left. So it's that scheme. What is that? What is the reason to have 6 guys leave in the room? That's bananas to me. Some guys are, listen, you're always going to have some guys who aren't going to play. You always have some dudes who are like, I can get more money somewhere else. But the whole class, it's tough, man. That's tough.
It's interesting because there's this old adage, Bernie, I don't know if you're familiar with this, the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 adage of recruiting.
No.
Are you familiar with that? Okay. So typically, historically, a third of the guys in the class are going to be, starters, real big contributors. A third of the guys are going to be special teams players, kind of, core guys around, and a third of the guys are going to wash out. And with the portal era, though, you're looking at, if you want to talk about portal, like guys going to the portal as well, you're looking closer to 50% washout. Like from that first class, the first class that he signed, the 2023 class right after Fick was hired. Like they've had, what do they have? 4 guys left from that class, I think, at this point. Like it's not great.
No, and Fickell's thing is to build a program through recruiting.
Yeah,
that's why I'm standing here saying, don't go get a QB. I think it hurts more than it helps.
And that's why I'm kind of saying play the kids also, because you're going to have a ridiculously hard schedule next year.
Trick Daddy says he loves the kids.
Get them. Like I just put them in there, throw them into the fire and see what they can do, because I think you kind of have to. If you're going to go 4-8, I'd rather have you go 4-8 with a bunch of kids and 4-8 with a bunch of seniors.
4-8 with a bunch of kids who have bought into the program.
Yes, that's what it is.
Compared to bringing into a bunch of guys who are just going to be pieces. You build a team, not a program. So that's
guys who are effectively contractors, right?
Effectively contractors. Listen, we have at this point right now. This is why I wanted Van Dyke to stay, but he's not. He's gone. So see you later, buddy. I'll miss you, but I am getting over you. Like we went on a couple dates and you broke my heart, almost like all of college. So what I'm going to say is, I want Matoya Mabry to be number 1. I want this guy coming in to be number 2. I don't care. Put these dudes in and let them play. Again, if anyone thinks that we're competing for the Big Ten championship next year, they've lost their minds. I have lost my mind, so I'm okay with that. Matt Perkins, we're not going there. But come on, dude. We got 6 teams are in the playoffs, and they're like top 10. It's beautiful, by the way. We're not there yet. We are rebuilding, retooling, whatever you want to call it. Time to play the young kids. Time to build that culture and say, you want to come here? You're going to play. That's it. We'll find a way. So, you know what, Matoya? I want to see what you got. And we're going to make it a competition, and you're going to get those number 1 reps. What are you going to do with them?
And Matoya was a guy who already has a relationship with Grimes. Grimes recruited him back when he was at Baylor. Like, he had
Everybody
him pretty
recruited him.
hard. And so, I thought Matoya was probably gone, honestly, when Longo left. And I'm rethinking that, quite a bit.
I mean, he could still leave, but I don't want him
to. But I think the hiring of Grimes actually is probably a step in the right direction if Wisconsin really wants to keep him.
If Grimes, if I'm Grimes and I get hired, I'm calling Matoya Mabry and being like, dude, you're number one right now.
Mabry and Matoya are never going to get this right.
Oh, my God. Did I say Matoya Mabry?
Yeah, twice.
I really got to stop drinking. Mabry, Matoya, whatever. I'm calling him and I'm calling all these other dudes and I'm like, listen, don't leave. We're going to do something here. That's what all the coaches should be doing. Hey, we're working through our stuff, right? We're figuring it out. We need dudes who are going to stay here and build this, right? Are you going to be that guy? And I'd ask everyone, listen, it can't be easy. We've seen the troubles, tribulations. I can name a bunch of guys, right? Jordan Turner, Muma, a lot of other guys. I mean, it's just, they're speed bumps. These are obstacles. Coach Fickell's working through them. He's got to figure it out. Coaches got to figure it out. They got to figure out what they want to do, their culture. They got to feel comfortable. But I'm not going to the portal and I'm getting defensive guys because we lost too many, but I'm not going to the portal to get a quarterback. That's me. Unless it's some stud that will come play.
Well, the thing is that this year's portal class of quarterbacks is not nearly as strong as the last couple of years. Yeah. You don't have a Cam Ward or a Dylan Gabriel in there.
Yeah.
You don't have, even like a Bo Nix going back a couple of years. Like right now, I think you're looking at like Malik Murphy from Duke, who looks like he's going to go to Ole Miss. If you're reading between the lines in Lane Kiffin's tweets, Connor Weigman from Texas A&M, Jackson Arnold, the kid out of Oklahoma, those guys are, former high 4-star, 5-star recruits, but it's not like there are just game changers all over the place at the quarterback position. And if, I'm of two minds. To me, it just really depends on who they hire at the quarterback's coach. Because if they hire a quarterback's coach who, has like a guy that he knows works, like he knows works in what he's trying to do, I get it. But I also, like you, want to see the kids develop. I want to see the young guys go out there and play. I want to see Mabry. I want to see Carter Smith. I want to give them a chance because I think if Fick is going to establish a culture in long term, you can't do that by having portal quarterbacks.
Portal guys.
Portal guys, but especially quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are have to be leaders by definition at their position.
I agree. Listen, I'm saying exactly what you're saying. I think if you go get a quarterback, you are saying to the team that, one, none of these guys are good enough. They're your recruits. And why listen to you when you're recruiting people? Like it seems off. Like I don't want that. I want that recruiting group to go into places and say, listen, we're starting a whole new thing here. Okay, you're gonna play because we don't have dudes. We're not going to get transferred. We're not getting 50 guys. Right? Hey, Mabry, Matoya. Did I get it right?
That's a good one.
Hey, dude, you're in. You're the guy. You want to be the guy? Be the guy. I'm telling you right now, you're the guy.
Sink or swim.
Right. This is your team. What are you going to do in the weight room? What are you going to do to get people behind you? Because, dude, I'll tell you what. When I showed up, Brooks Bollinger didn't have to do anything. Every single human being was behind him no matter what. Sorgi, same thing. And I'm talking about, like, some people love Brooks, some people didn't. Some people love Sorgi, some people didn't. But when we were on the field, Stocco, same thing. You played, and they were the leader. Off the field, everyone becomes their own person, but on the field, you are one unit, and I just don't think you can do that. That's my on my pillbox saying, please, Fick, I'm not there every day. I'm not a football dude, but don't go to the portal for a quarterback. You're not going to get a good one.
I think what you're saying is that the other guys on the unit need to have seen the quarterback go through the same ish that they did to get on the field. They want to see the guy who has put his heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears into the off-season workouts together for multiple years because they know what that guy does and that they know what that guy is about.
Yes. And I think same thing on the defense. Listen, I think you have to fill holes, right? That makes sense to me. You need edge defenders who are actual D linemen.
You need actual D line. You need actual D linemen, and at this point, actually, you probably need some defensive backs because you've lost a whole slew of them.
So if I'm Fickell and I'm saying to people out loud, I want to build this program through recruiting, I would say to myself, listen, Fickell, I love you, so don't take this the wrong way, but I would say to myself, where are my biggest holes? They're all on the defense right now. I mean, listen, we weren't good on offense, so but we had players. And we need to figure out, we didn't have a good head offense coordinator with our players, right? Nothing meshed. But on defense, we couldn't stop the run. And that is that's like football 101 is stopping the run. We didn't have the dudes. So I would say that's where I need to focus. Defense. I need D linemen. I need defensive backs. I think we have some good linebackers. We need to recruit dudes. But I'm telling people, you're coming to play DB here, you're going to get a chance to play. Day one. You want a chance? You're going to get it. You think you can do it? Show me. Because you know what? We have too many. We don't have enough guys on any defensive. On the offense, I think we have enough guys, right? We're returning a bunch of dudes. So, listen, I'm very hopeful. I just think that these are culture-building things that Fickell could say, if we lose 7 games next year because I'm playing the guys I've recruited, then that's going to happen. Imagine if I heard that. I'm a recruit. I'm first year. I redshirted second year. Dude, I'm going hard, man. Because then you can say when you break down, like nobody gets these little things. You break down, it's like, hey, it's the dudes in this room. It is the dudes in this weight lift, this class, whatever. You break that down, like that's the truth. Instead of, all right, guys, we'll see who we got in a couple months. These things are all new to us, so it's hard for us to talk about it and figure it out in our brains. But imagine that Brady Collins can be in the weight room going, it's this group in this room. We're not getting dudes. Right? Hey,
it's on you.
Hey, Victoria, break us down.
Yeah.
Because you're a dude. QB1, break us down. And Mabry steps up and says, all right, guys, let's do it. Oh. Hey, RB1, Dupree, let's go, buddy. Whoa. It's a whole new field. It's leadership. Listen, Brandon Williams came in, I think it was a second year. That dude came in and he played right away and was one of the vocal leaders of our team. Right? You didn't do much like anything fancy. He just told people he was going to do it. And he did it. I don't need a Brandon Williams, but I need dudes to say, take that and say, RB1 is mine. QB1 is mine. DB1 is mine. Right? Hunter Willer, who? That's all I'm saying. And I think if we have to take a couple years, Matt Perkins, to get better again, but we build that culture, say we're going to run it down your throat and stop the run, and you're just going to beat us because you have better guys, so be it. Because this will not be it forever.
Well, Bernie, as far as I'm concerned, we've got the dudes here on this podcast. We don't need portal additions here. We've got what we need on offense and defense. We appreciate everyone, as always, tuning in to Believe in Badgers here on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag and Oak Bridge Wealth Management. We'll be back again soon. More interviews, more portal chat, maybe a quarterback's coach, maybe having some old coaches stop by to talk with us. Who knows? We'll see. Until next time, thank you so much for subscribing. Please rate, review, do all that good stuff wherever it is that you get podcasts, YouTube, and all that good stuff. Until next time, on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin. It's going to be a long off season, but we can do it.
We can do it, Bernie, I believe.